Hi everybody, it's Buck WSR Weezer, and I'm coming at you today with a video on how to solve the Rubik's Cube. Maybe you say, wait, aren't there enough videos out there on YouTube on how to solve the Rubik's Cube? Why do we need another? Well, that's a good question. I want to present to you in video form, I want to document in video form the method of solving the Rubik's Cube that's presented in this 1981 booklet called Solving the Cube. This book was published in 1981. And when you remember that the cube was patented in 1975, this booklet documents one of what I think is the earliest cube solving methods. And this is how I learned to solve the cube. I actually have never watched any of the YouTube videos on how to do it. I picked this up at a thrift store for next to nothing. It sold originally in Toys R Us for 78 cents. Now, this may not necessarily be the fastest method, but it's effective, and I think it might help you if you're trying to learn to solve the Rubik's Cube. It's going to walk us through 7 stages, and if we follow those stages logically, it really makes solving this an enjoyable process that really anyone can learn. I have some friends that solve the Rubik's Cube. A lot of them are younger, middle schoolers, so when I talk to them about it, they start using words like permutation and algorithm. Well, those words don't appear in this book. They're not really even in my vocabulary. Maybe words like patterns or sequence or series, but I like it because it's the simple step-by-step method that you can easily understand. So I'm going to show you the 7 stages of cube solving, and I'm also going to take some photos of some of these patterns that are presented in the book, and I'll put them in the video also, so you can pause the video whenever you want to and take a look at those. Now, the first thing I need to do is give you some vocabulary so that we're understanding what we're talking about. Basic stuff. So when you're holding the cube, you've got 3 layers. We got the top layer, the middle layer, and the bottom layer. Just normal English words. Let's talk about 3 kinds of pieces. First, you have the center pieces. They only have one color, so this is the center white piece. Here's the center blue piece. Second are edge pieces. That's pieces like this here that have 2 colors. This one green, this one yellow. These are called edge pieces. And then third kind of piece are corner pieces. They are on the corners. And they've got 3 colors, white, orange, blue, as in this case. So those are the 3 pieces that we're going to use. There's another important, 2 important words to keep in mind, and the one is thinking about a piece that is placed correctly as opposed to a piece that is turned correctly. So let me give you an example of the difference between placed correctly and turned correctly. Let's try this one right here. This edge piece has a white side and a green side. This piece is placed in the right spot because here's the green that would match up with the green, and here's the white that would match up with the white. However, it is not turned correctly. We would need to flip it around and turn it for it to be both placed and turned correctly. Let me show you the same kind of thing on a corner piece. This corner piece has 3 colors, blue, orange, and white. It is actually placed correctly, but it's not turned correctly because we have white here, and orange here, blue here. However, the blue should be up here, and the white should be over here, and the orange should be over here. So it is placed correctly, but it is not turned correctly. So there's a distinction between being placed correctly and turned correctly. So now we've got that vocabulary. I'm ready to walk you through the 7 stages of solving the Rubik's Cube. The first 2 stages, well, what we're going to do, we're going to make the top color white. So we're going to use white on the top. So I've got the centerpiece white here at the top. And our first stage is a top white cross. That means these 4 edge pieces need to be white, and they need to be in the right spots. They need to be placed and turned correctly. We're going to try to make a white cross. Now I already got one of the edge pieces up there. It's got red here, so we'll just turn it there. That one is now turned correctly. Most people do not. Now here's another one. We just flip it up. Orange meets orange. We got 2 of our 4 edge pieces in place. Most people can solve one side of the Rubik's Cube without needing instructions or training. So here's a white piece with the blue, and I'm going to turn it so that it matches up with the blue. Now it's on the bottom. We'll just flip it around 180 degrees. All right, so we now got 3 of our edge pieces. Our white cross for stage 1 is almost complete. Where's that other, here it is. So I'm going to put him on the bottom. Here he is. He needs to be on the bottom there. So now orange, it's all up. Okay, so we've done stage 1 is complete. We've got our top white cross, and you'll notice that they're placed and turned correctly. Blue matches up the blue, the orange here, the green. Stage 1 is complete. Stage 2 is where we are going to put the top white corners in place. This is a top white corner, but he is not in the right spot. So we're going to do what's necessary to bring up the white corners so that they match up with where they need to go. And again, I'm not going to show you any of the charts from the book on this because, like I said, most people, just by playing around with the cube, have been able to figure out how to solve one side of the cube. That's not going to be it. And you can just mimic some of the steps that I'm making here, but you'll likely be able to do this on your own with just a little playing around with it. There's stage 2. We've got the top white corners in place. They're all placed and turned correctly. So we have, through stages 1 and 2, solved the top layer. Top layer's done. All right? So now we're ready to do stage 3, which is to solve the middle layer. The middle layer requires that we get these edge pieces properly placed and turned in 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. Now what you'll notice is the piece that needs to be here would be orange on this side and blue on this side. The piece here needs to be green here and orange here. The piece here needs to be red here and green here. And the edge piece here needs to be blue on this side and red on this side. The way we put those pieces in their proper spot is to take them from the bottom and move them up to diagonally to the side. For instance, I'll give you an example and I'll show you how to do it. This piece is the green and orange piece, which needs to go up here. So we have it on the bottom and we need to do a series of 8 moves, which we can memorize, and we'll take it from here to here. I'll show you those 8 moves, and then I'll show you the chart in the book where you can see in diagram form what those 8 moves are. There were the 8 moves, and our piece, orange and green, has moved from here to here. So we've got the one edge piece in place. All right, let's keep going. This piece needs to be blue here and red here. That piece is right here. So we're going to do that a series of 8 moves and move it from here to here. Now it's really a reverse of what we did previously as we moved one from the bottom up to the right. Here we're moving it up to the left, but it's very similar. And again, it's 8 moves, which are not hard to do once you memorize it. All right, so he's now in the right spot. This guy's in the right spot, so let's keep going. We'll just solve this layer and then I'll show you the chart. This one needs to be red and green. Where is that piece? Here it is. So I'm going to move it under the red. We need to move it from here to here. And that series of 8 moves has moved it from here to here. We've got 1, 2, 3 edge pieces in place. There's one more. This one needs to be orange and blue. Where is that guy? Here he is, orange and blue. Let's stick him right under the orange, and we're going to do that series of 8 moves that will move him from here to here. Okay, there it is. Congratulations. Stage 3 has solved the middle layer for us. I'll show you now the chart, and you can spend some time looking at that series of 8 moves that are part of stage 3. Well, let's move on to stage 4. Stages 1, 2, and 3 solve the top layer and the middle layer for us. It takes stages 4, 5, 6, and 7 to solve the bottom layer. And what we're going to do is flip the cube upside down. So now yellow is on the top, but we know that's our bottom. Stage 4 is to solve the bottom layer cross by having these edge pieces correctly placed, even if they're not correctly turned. So that means here we're going to want yellow and green, even if those two colors are reversed. And what you see is the green piece that I want here and the red piece that I want here need to be flipped around. And this yellow-blue needs to come over here, and this yellow-orange needs to come over here. So what we're going to do is a series of 7 moves that you'll have to memorize that will switch the position of these two pieces. And then we'll turn it around and we'll do that same series of moves to switch these two pieces. And if we do it right, we will have a cross up here that's correctly placed, even if they're not correctly turned. So you'll have to memorize these moves. And I'll show them to you as I just did. That was 7. So these two pieces just switched places. Now they're not correctly turned, but they are correctly placed. It'll be a subsequent stage where we'll get them correctly placed. Alright, so let's turn the cube this way. And again, this piece and this piece need to switch places. So we're going to do that same series of 7 moves to switch these pieces around. There we go. And even though it may not look like it at first, we have completed stage 4 because we have our yellow cross correctly placed. 2 of the pieces are correctly turned, this one and this one, red to red, yellow to yellow, yellow to yellow, yellow to orange. But these pieces, this one and this one, they are correctly placed, they are just not correctly turned. So blue and yellow fits there, and green and yellow fits there. So stage 4 is now complete. I want to let you take a look at the chart in the book, and you can see the moves in diagram form, and then we'll come back and move on to stage 5. We're now ready for stage 5. Stage 5 is to take this bottom cross, this yellow cross, and make sure all 4 of the edge pieces are correctly turned. 2 of them are, this one and this one. So we need to do a series of 8 moves to turn this piece, and then we'll do the same series of moves to turn this piece. Now it's very important that you, at this point, decide on which color of the cube you want facing you. So for me, I'm going to have this red side facing me. So that means the piece that I need to turn is on the top on the right side. Keep the red facing you for the duration of this stage. So here's the series of moves. There's 8 moves. It's really just 2 turns that are repeated 4 times. Red side facing me to repeat myself. Here we go. I'll show you these moves, and then after we complete this stage, I'll put up the diagram so you can see the chart. Like that, and then the middle layer spins. Do that 4 times. There, that's the second time. Third time. Here's the 4th time. Okay, now this piece is correctly placed and turned. Now, keep red facing you and only turn the top layer so that the edge piece we need to turn is once again on the top right hand side. We're going to repeat those same 8 moves. 2 turns repeated 4 times. Once, twice, 3 times, and 4 times. Now it's just a matter of turning the top of the cube so that the edge pieces line up with their respective sides. So now we have completed stage 5, stage 4 and 5, in which we've got our yellow cross, edge pieces correctly placed, and now correctly turned. Next, we're going to move on to stage 6, but first take a look at this diagram. You can see those same moves that we just learned in chart form. We're now ready for stage 6. The goal of stage 6 is to move the corner pieces, have them correctly placed, even if not correctly turned. Correctly placed, even if they're not correctly turned. Now let's take a look. Look at this corner. You'll notice that it is correctly placed, it's just not correctly turned, because we would need blue, red, and yellow, which we have, blue, red, and yellow. It's correctly placed but not turned. This one, however, is not, because not correctly placed. It would need to be orange, blue, and yellow, and this is green, orange, and yellow. So that's not correctly placed. This one is not correctly placed because it would need to be orange, green, and yellow, and it's green, yellow, and red. So this one's not correctly placed either because it would need to be green, red, and yellow, and it's orange, blue, and yellow. So we really only have one of the corners that is correctly placed. So what I'm going to do is take that corner and move it to the right-hand side and to the back. So it's on the right-hand side and the furthest away from me. Now there are a series of 8 moves, again, which must be memorized. And the result will be that these 3 corners, which are not correctly placed, will switch places. What's going to happen is this guy's going to come over here, this guy's going to go over here, and this guy's going to go over there. Let me show you those moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you repeat them. I misspoke. They weren't repeated. It was just a series of 8 moves, which you will see in the chart and you've memorized. Now you'll notice something. We have succeeded in putting all 4 corners in the correct place. 2 of them are actually correctly placed and turned. Sometimes you just get lucky. These 2 are correctly placed. Red, blue, yellow, correctly placed but not correctly turned. Blue, orange, yellow, blue, orange, yellow, correctly placed but not correctly turned. We have succeeded in solving stage 6, getting the bottom corner pieces correctly placed. I'm going to let you take a look at the chart. You'll see those 8 moves. You can study them, and then we'll come back and do our last stage, stage 7. Well, we're on the home stretch. It's stage 7. Stage 7, as you can guess by this point, is to take these corner pieces of the bottom layer and get them correctly turned. They're correctly placed. That was stage 6, but now we've got to get them correctly turned. Guess what? Once again, it's going to be a series of 8 moves, which is going to turn these pieces for us. I want you to choose a face side, and I think I'm going to choose blue as my face side. That's the side facing, the front side facing me, and I'm going to keep that through the duration of this stage. Now, yellow is on this side, and he needs to come up here. So I'm kind of thinking of an arrow this way, which is reminding me I'm going to start this series of 8 moves in this direction. Here they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat those same 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, he is correctly placed and turned. But look at the rest of the cube. You might freak out. Something went wrong. It actually did not. Just be calm. Keep blue, the front side. Don't mess that up, and only turn the top layer. Now, yellow is on this side, and it needs to go up here. So I'm thinking we're going to start this series of 8 moves this way. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat that. 5, 6, 7, 8. Guess what? All we need to do is spin the top layer, 1 move, and the cube is completely solved. We worked our way through the 7 stages, and we solved the cube. I'm going to let you take a look at the 8 moves that we need to memorize for that 7th stage, and then we'll come back and celebrate our victory. Okay, my friends, thanks for hanging with me through this video. I hope it was helpful to you. Even if you already know how to solve the cube, you might have learned something. If not, you found a method that is logical, and it's got a little bit of memorization in, because you got to memorize the moves that correspond to each respective stage. But once you've done that, you've got it. There was a while, for a while with me, as I was learning to do this, I'd have the cube in one hand and I have the book open in the other, and then I just got to the point where I forced myself to memorize the moves until I was able to solve the cube and not need the book anymore. Well, it's kind of fun. You're never too old to learn, never too young to learn. I learned it at solve at age 51, and now my life is complete. And if you follow these 7 stages, so will yours. This is Buck WSR Weezer. I got a bunch of other videos totally unrelated to anything we did today, but this was fun, and I thank you for being part of it. Take care, everybody. Yada yada da bum bum. Alright, so here I am holding a Rubik's Cube. This is a little test to see how it goes. Turning, spinning. Oh wow, does that look good? Do you see my book? This is the book. It's got charts. Charts! Yo, 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 yo. I can't believe you're doing that on video. Yeah, I know. Alright, that's my little test. See how it looks. If they're not correctly turned. Phone call. It can